Okay, let's talk about the Academy and getting special abilities on Celebration Day. And again, remember, the game is paused. As you see, there is a lot to do on Celebration Day in Dungeon Crusade. But again, I hope you enjoy learning about this. Let me start with this. That while the heroes are in the dungeon, there is an action they can take called Enlightenment. And what Enlightenment is, they can gain a special ability. So they don't have to be at Celebration Day to gain a new special ability. They can do it within the dungeon, again, as long as they have life force. So I just want to point that out. You can do this while you're in the dungeon if you use Enlightenment. And basically, your hero forfeits their turn, and then they can pick one of the three special abilities. So let me grab, since we have Faith here, here's our cleric hero, Faith. We'll take a look at her special abilities real quick. And this follows suit for all the other heroes too. So each one has 3 special abilities. So she has Divine Healing, Holy Damage, and Blessing. Blessing is a very good one to buff your allies, or she can buff herself with that one. And then of course, like, there's the level 2 versions here, and then finally the level 3 versions of that. And I know someone's going to ask, you can't, let's say that Faith right now at level 1 would get Divine Healing. Say she had the life force to spend to get the level 2 version. You can't get the next version until that your hero is the appropriate level. You may have already known that, but that's how that works. So let's just say that we want to throw some heals down while we're in the dungeon. So Faith comes over here to the Academy, and let's break this down real quick and show you. Again, all this is in the Showcase series for all you new Crusaders out there. Tells you level 1, and again, very, very simple to understand. This says this is going to cost 3 life force. So she would just spend the 3 life force and she acquires that. Remember, we were talking about essence. That tells us it's going to cost Faith 3 essence to use Divine Healing. And there's their essence bar right there. So if she casts this in the dungeon, that would cost 3 essence to use. And again, hopefully you're seeing it's very, very easy. There's nothing difficult about this game, guys. Tom, another artist, Tom, I worked with him on doing these icons, and he's just awesome artist. So Tom, I look forward to working with you again on these 2 smaller games. But there's tons of these little icons that you'll enjoy checking out on all the special ability cards. Tells you that's level 1. Notice the little door there. And then this is a dungeon corridor. That just simply tells you that this can be used in the chamber, in the hallways and corridors of the dungeon. And when you see this, that means it can be used in a chamber of the dungeon. If it ever has a red X on either one of those, that means it can't be used with that. And you'll understand why when you see other special abilities. Red arrow, it means you have to channel this special ability. I wanted to come up with something unique for Dungeon Crusade channeling. If you know what tapping is, exhausting. So after Faith uses this, you turn it upside down. And then there's a phase at the top of the turn called upkeep. You turn it right side up to use again. Very simple. So after you use it, you channel it. Upkeep phase at the top of a turn, you unchannel it, and you can use it again. And guys, right here, and this lays it out exactly how that's used. So again, another thing you could do on Celebration Day is get some new special abilities for your heroes. Okay, and moving right next door to the bazaar, like we talked about before, this is where the heroes can stock up on some potions or torches before they head back into the dungeon for Quest Table 2. And remember, when you go back into the dungeon, the monsters are going to be tougher, more health, new special abilities, and the champion monsters that reside within the chambers of the dungeon are all changing. And there's tons of creatures and monsters in this game, I assure you. And then there's like a little chart right there that tells you everything. It's basically 100 gold. Okay, so that is a little bit about the bazaar. And I want to give you a quick Crusader tip on this. After you use, say we're in the dungeon, okay, and the hero had some, healing potions and elixirs, and remember those, they cure afflictions. So that tells you to cure all afflictions. And we'll get into that. And again, it's in the Showcase series, and they used an ochre juice. But my point is, and I wanted to let you know is, after you use one in the dungeon, you set these aside by the village board. So you can set them like up here. Okay, when the heroes go to Celebration Day, the Bazaar has created fresh ones. So you just simply take those off and you put those back in the stacks. Very, very easy. But I just wanted to point that out to let you know that, you know, some people may see it and think, well, wait a minute, so if that is that all the healing potions? You don't get any more throughout the whole game? No, that they are refreshed. But you could play a hardcore mode, meaning once this stack is gone, that's it. There's another option you could do. It'd be a home, you know, like a homebrew roll, but you know, I'm always huge on people, you know, making it their game and customizing it. Okay, let's move next door and let's talk about the temple. Okay, and here we are at the temple. And I want to make mention, we have Albus right up here. In the game, Albus could never be hurt, killed, maimed. Nothing bad could ever happen to Albus. Monsters totally ignore Albus. And as some of you know, I am a massive dog lover. And so I'm one of those guys, I hate seeing dogs get killed in movies. So absolutely not. Albus, your fetch hound, is totally safe. Nothing ever bad can happen to Albus. Okay, however, Enwyn here, let's say she got to Celebration Day and she's very badly wounded. Well, she could come over here, pay 100 gold, and use the healing fountain. 100 gold, and that will restore all her health. Also, let's say she had some afflictions, and I'm sorry I don't have the afflictions out yet, but heroes can get an affliction such as bleeding. They'll lose 1 health at the top of every upkeep phase. They can be poisoned. They'll lose 1 essence at the start of upkeep phase. And there's first and second degree afflictions. Well, if you pay the temple 100 gold, they'll remove all afflictions. Basically just like our handy elixir potion. Okay? And then lastly, something kind of very cool in the game is a blessing. And when I came up with the game, I wanted angels in the game. And I worked with the absolutely incredible Freddie Lopez, who's pretty much, I think, my long-lost brother. And so what angels will do is, well, first let me say this. You come over here, let's say that we bought a blessing, and you have a shopping phase before you start Dungeon Crusade, so you're going to start out on the village board. You could pay 200 gold, and you randomly take a blessing card. You do not reveal it. You cannot look at a blessing. Okay, so you would just take this and put it in your player area. When the heroes descend into the dungeon, they can reveal what their blessing is. And I'll tell you, it could be one of the many angels in the deck, and there's varying degrees of angels of how powerful they are. Or they could have something called despair. So in this case, once they're in the dungeon, you cannot reveal this in the village, and an angel is only for that one certain hero. It doesn't affect any other heroes. For example, Angel of Luck, +4 to all these following attributes: strength, willpower, evade, agility, wisdom, hide. So this angel will give this hero that blessing and that. So that's kind of cool in the game. And I'll keep it a surprise for you, but there's many different types of angels in the game. I'll show you that. Angel of Swiftness, again, Freddie Lopez. I asked him to put like stained glass in the back and these female angels with light armor and just incredible art. So the Angel of Swiftness, that'll give you a +3 to your base movement. And again, guys, see, it's very easy. There's an Angel of Luck again, Angel of Essence, Angel of Healing, but there is despair. And so I wrote some very sad things to let you know your prayers weren't heard, and there's different kinds of despair. Don't mean to bring you down, but it is a great sense of sorrow overcomes you, and it just tells you to shuffle that back in the deck. But I hope that you're seeing that, you know, maybe you thought Dungeon Crusade was very complex. Guys, it's not. So anyway, that's a little bit about the blessings in the deck. So buy a blessing and good luck to you. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the blacksmith shop next and talk about how he gets new stock in on Celebration Day. Okay, we are in the blacksmith shop here. And let me stop and say this first. What I think we're gonna do, guys, is, because I spent a good amount of time going over this with you, and I hope that you're enjoying this video. Why don't we do this? This is gonna be part 1. We're gonna wrap up the village board, and then in part 2, why don't we just play all the House of Chance games? I think that'll work out really good, and I'm looking forward to playing those with you. So part 1, we'll wrap this up, and then I'll have part 2 out the next day, and we'll play the House of Chance game. So I think that will work out good. So let's just go over this blacksmith shop. I definitely want to say something because there were some misconceptions about this. Dungeon Crusade, like I said, comes with 193 pieces of unique loot. And in case you don't know, there's actually 20 pieces of junk loot. Yes, you're not guaranteed to get shiny loot every time you kill a monster or open up a treasure chest. So again, in the showcase series, you'll learn about junk loot. The blacksmith, of course, will never carry junk loot or the underworld artifacts, the most powerful and evil weapons in the game. But what he will carry is common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary items. Different gear, weapons, bracers, armor, just everything, gloves and necklaces and rings. There's just everything you can imagine is in there. And what I wanted to point out is there were some players who thought that they had to take the top card, that was shown. No, just picture you walked into a medieval blacksmith shop and you could kind of, rummage through everything to find what you need for that particular hero. So this is the blacksmith shop. But what I was going to tell you is on every celebration day, the blacksmith gets in new stock. So it's like a roll of a die plus a certain number. So the blacksmith will always have new gear popping up for your heroes. And of course, it's always randomized. You'll never see the same, items in the blacksmith shop because there's just so much of it. Also, he will buy used gear. So if you have some gear that you want to sell, he will buy it. He's very stingy, I'll tell you that now, but you can sell it. And lastly, you're going to see it in the showcase series if you keep looking. You veteran Crusaders already know, but there's things called fabled gear, and it's like this glorious weapons that belong to the characters in the story I wrote for Dungeon Crusade. It carries a higher gold cost, but it's quite powerful. So just know fabled gear is in here, and you'll see it. There's like gold accents all over the card. It's really good stuff. Sorry, if you can obtain it. So that's what I wanted to point out about the blacksmith shop, that there's, rummage through it, do what you want with it, and there's always new stock coming in. And from some game events, the blacksmith will get in new stuff for you to check out. Okay, and we're just going to go up here real quick, and then we'll touch on a few other things, and we'll wrap this video up. Resurrection Shrine is not really used during the celebration day. This is, I said, when your hero perishes, they're not out of the game. They would come to the Resurrection Shrine, you lay them down, and Resurrection's very simple in the game. We won't get into it here, but just know that, once if your hero does perish, they are resurrected. But again, like I said, if they do perish, villagers don't like seeing dead heroes. I'm sorry, you use just one of these. This is that terror level. So if a hero perishes, you're going to move it up. If one of the minions escapes the dungeon and raids the village, you're going to raise it. And again, like I said in the scenario book, you're going to notice you can put this anywhere. So if you want an easier game, a medium game, maybe you want to start it here. There's many, many variables in the scenario. Just picture it like little sliders in a PC or video game RPG. You can slide and adjust everything to create the game you want. So that option's in there too. But I don't want to skip over that. So that's actually what the Resurrection Shrine is. And then not last, we're going to talk about the blacksmith. One other thing, and then we'll wrap this up. But over here, there is the tavern. So you can rest at the tavern and you fully restore your essence. And again, daily and Mimality, the detail is just out of this world for that. So that's what the tavern is. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to pull the camera back. There is, as I said, there's mining and crafting in Dungeon Crusade, and there's your friendly blacksmith right there. Now you're going to notice these things here, like the different materials, moonstone, zultanite, to create precious stones. This all deals with mining and crafting in the game because the blacksmith can create power gems. Some of the weapons, actually right here, notice right here, the Imperial gauntlets, there's a square socket. Weapons, I don't think we have any weapons out right here, but there'll be a round socket here. And I'm going to show you those in a moment. But you can further customize that weapon by plugging in different power gems. You can make them more powerful. You can make them give certain buffs to these warfare types here, those 6 warfare types. So it's just another level of custom ability I wanted to give players with Dungeon Crusade. We're going to pull the camera back, and I think we'll end with that. I think we just about wrapped up about Celebration Day. But I did want to point this little chart out to you. So we'll go back on top, and I'll show you a few of the precious gems and the Zultanite and Moonstone. Okay, so let's go over this very quick, and some of you veteran Crusaders will know this, and if you're new, I think you're going to enjoy the mining and crafting system in the game. Again, it is very, very easy. This is a mining card right here, and there's actually pickaxes that you buy from the blacksmith, and I'm sorry, I'll pull one out for the next video when we do the House of Chance games, but you're going to notice that you're going to use one of those white card clips, and I wanted to have it where, from hitting your hero, hitting the ground to mine, that they can degrade, because in the dungeon it's always random. There's 8 potential mining sites, but there's only 4 real ones, so every time you play, the mining sites are going to change. But you need a pickaxe to mine for these things I'm going to show you. So sometimes, whoops, I was going to show you this first. Heroes will just find pebbles and dirt, which is nothing, but they're also going to find the mining deck is very plentiful with Moonstone and Zultanite. These are your 2 main components. Picture it like this. I get deep with this. Moonstone is a very tough gem, and it's very hard. The blacksmith melts this down to coat the power gem. Okay, Zultanite is like a crystal-like, very delicate mineral, very, very fragile. The only properties it has this, it'll amplify, this magical ability to amplify things. So these 2 together are your main components that you need to craft power gems. And we're getting somewhere. This will all fall in place in a second. So just know these are the 2 main ingredients. You're going to need Moonstone and Zultanite. Here are the precious stones. As you're going to notice, they follow those warfare types. There's Ruby Stone, Iolite, Jade, Amethyst, Sunstone, and Obsidian. And again, they follow those warfare types like physical warfare, ranged warfare, arcane warfare, mythical warfare. Sunstone is spiritual warfare, and finally, chaos warfare. So what that leads into is this. Let's take a look at, this is a recipe card for power gems. So right here, it's going to tell you there's that Moonstone. We're going to need 1 Moonstone, 1 Zultanite, and 1 piece of Amethyst. And the blacksmith will craft that for us. When it's done, and I'm going to tell you why it's on both sides. I'm sorry I don't have a weapon out here. I can find one real quick here and show you. Bear with me, see if I can find one. I'm sorry, I should have had this thing out. But that power gem will plug into certain weapons. Okay? Here we go. So I just grabbed this at random. This is a common, this is a Forester axe. Notice that that is a socket there. So already this is going to give us a +1 to chaos warfare rolls. These colored dice right here, there's all these 6 colored dice. Those are your warfare dice. So with this axe, our hero can add +1 to the black warfare dice. Very easy when you're combating. Okay, so let's say that our hero wanted to be more powerful in mythical warfare. So the blacksmith with those materials right there, like I just showed you, could craft an amethyst prowess gem, and you basically plug it into that. So now this Forester axe will do +1 to chaos warfare and +2 to amethyst to mythical warfare. So you could add +2 to the purple mythical warfare dice. You see how that works? And the only reason I designed it with the other side, in case you just wanted to put it on that side, that's why that was. And plus we needed the space for that. So that's all that means. You just do that. So that, and there's tons and tons and tons of different recipes. There's like the Sunstone Prowess gem. Here is a gem of finesse. This will help your lock picking. There's lock picking, a really cool lock picking system in the game. And like I said, notice the square socket. Well, that would go right into there. So armor basically takes the square power gems and +3 to your lock picking. See how that works? So you just basically got to match up the difference, you know, the square or the circle sockets. But there's just tons. I'm going to give you a lot of spoilers, but there's just tons and tons of different recipes you can create from mining and crafting. I still had a whole nother stack over here. So tons of recipes for your heroes for mining and crafting. And hopefully that was not very hard to see how that works. Guys, I think we talked about everything except the House of Chance. So let's shoot over there, then we'll go pull everything back and we'll wrap everything up. Okay, and finally, there's a few other things I want to tell you about Celebration Day, but here is that House of Chance. And yes, I'm going to say it again. So let's say for our Celebration Day, and you could do this whenever, before the hero enters into the House of Chance, you're going to roll a d4 right here, and whatever comes up, you're going to look on that House of Chance game. And so a 4 came up, and I think that's the Adventures of Bravely the Knight. So that would be the one game in the House of Chance, or you guys, you could just pick one if you just want to do it that way. All of the games, of course, if you're playing with other people, Dungeon Crusade, I built it from the ground up for the soloist board gamer. You can play it totally solo, or you can, of course, play it co-op, where, you know, other people will control other heroes. So that's really a little bit about the House of Chance, but part 2, we're going to play all 4 of the House of Chance games, and I think we're going to have a ton of fun with that. We're going to have a ton of fun with that. So yes, there's a gambling hall in Dungeon Crusade with those 4 games we chatted about. And looking around the village, I think that was a lot to talk about, but I hope you enjoyed it. And you know what, actually, there's the Mercenary Camp. That's for the news. There's a new solo Crusader mode, and I will have that out tomorrow for you, or in part 2. We'll chat about that before we head into the House of Chance. But there was a lot of people that wanted to say, hey, Roger, I want to play Dungeon Crusade with one hero. I went to work. That's what's new with Dungeon Crusade, the solo Crusader mode. The new Mercenary Camp in the village, you can hire up to 2 mercenaries to help your hero out. And I'll tell you right now, it was a very huge inspiration from Diablo 2. I'm a Diablo junkie in general, but that was inspired from that. So there is a cool mercenary camp, and we'll take a look at that in part 2. Okay, guys, let me pull the camera back and let's wrap this up. But again, I hope you enjoyed your time with the video. It was a little bit long. Our videos tend to be longer, but I hope you enjoyed your time with me and you learned a lot about Dungeon Crusade. Okay, see you in a second. Okay, all. Again, I want to thank you for your time. If you were totally new to this, it was really nice having you here. I hope you found the video entertaining and informational, and it was just time well spent. I love hanging out with everyone. A little more about Celebration Day. There's a few other things you do outside the village, as in preparing the dungeon. Again, it's in the Showcase series. It's in the revised rulebook. Link in the description if you want to check out the revised rulebook. Again, it's been getting excellent reviews from people, and we greatly thank you. But like, you have to recreate a new encounter deck. 87 encounters in the game, all unique. So you'll create a new encounter deck, reset the traps in the dungeon, just stuff like that. So it's in the rulebook for you, but what I showed you was kind of the gist of what Celebration Day is and the House of Chance. I'm trying to think what else I could tell you. Other thing I could tell you is that part 2, we're going to have a blast playing all the 4 House of Chance games. So that will be totally dedicated to that, but I'll show you that mercenary camp. There was something else I was going to show you. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to get back to work. There's a lot going on, and again, I'm so happy we're going to print. And I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. So I'll always be eternally grateful for your time and support and excitement. You guys are awesome, and I'm going to be hard at work on the 2 much smaller games that are based at 2 different locations in Avalon. So more on that down the road. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to see you in part 2, and as we sometimes do, we'll fade out on the big banner of Dungeon Crusade. Again, thank you guys very much, and I will see you in part 2 with all the House of Chance games. Have a great day. Bye-bye.